Good evening, pubbers. Happy Sunday, I guess. How is everyone? Who is everyone? Shout out in the comments if you are here listening, watching, etc. How's your week been? My week was a mix, but the good part of it was the weather has improved. It was over 25 like 3 days here. So I was out on my balcony and I officially declared rum and tonic season open. So I'm drinking rum and tonic tonight, although it's not as warm as it was. So Thornall is here. Hi, Thornall. Ida is here. Osa is here. Jerome is here. It's like pretty much every pub since the beginning. Brian is here. Yeah, comedic and lighthearted life of Hadrian Marlowe. I didn't think I would find an SFF character who suffered more than fits chivalry farcier. But yeah, Marlowe takes the cake. Mitch is here. Few things better than a book and cocktail on the balcony. Yeah, that was my summer last summer. I was working a lot. I'm not working right now, but I was working a lot, and every day when I sort of finished work, I would go out on the balcony and read for a couple of hours until the light got too dim to continue, and have a couple rum and tonics. The rum and tonic is almost a religious drink for me. It's very much memories of my father, who died a number of years ago. My dad and I were in a bar. Most of my stories start with I was at a party, but this wasn't a party. My dad and I had been out all day doing things, and we went to a bar afterwards. And we're standing at the bar. He's drinking whatever he's drinking. I'm drinking a gin and tonic. We put our drinks down on the bar and talked for a bit. And then we pick up our drinks and drink. And my dad did a literal spit take. And he said, "Damn it, I think I got your drink. What the fuck are you drinking?" My dad was pretty dramatic in a fun way. And I said, "I'm drinking gin and tonic." And he's like, "That explains it. Try this." And I tried his drink and I was like, "Oh my God, that's much better." And it was a rum and tonic, specifically Mount Gay rum, which is a Dominican rum, which has the right mix of, I don't know, sharp and sweet. Some rums are really, really sweet and sticky and spicy, and some are really neutral, almost vodka. And Mount Gay rum is right in the middle. So it's Mount Gay rum, half a lime cut in half. So 2/4 limes squeezed into it, and basically ice and tonic. And it's so good. It's the most refreshing summer drink imaginable. Hello, Colton is here. Angry Smurf is here. It's not afternoon here, lady. It's 8 in the evening. But it's also, I always have the feeling, I don't remember this from earlier, and it may just be the latitude that I was living at when I was younger. Here, the span of light through a year at certain times of day is remarkable. Like in the middle of winter, it's black at like 4:30 in the afternoon. And right now it's 8 here, and the sun is well, it's on its way to setting, but it won't really start getting proper dark until 10 or 10:30, which is crazy to me somehow. That's also nice, Dornall. I forget where you're from, but where you're from would probably dictate how much you like rain. I used to live in Hamburg, and people had a very romantic idea of weather, which was always kind of a joke to me because I grew up in Australia and I like warm. But yeah, no, the sound of rain, I often have my balcony doors open when it's raining. Now that I've got a Fitz, I don't do that as much. I need to figure out something. I need to put up a net or something on my balcony because I don't want Fitz to discover the outdoors and disappear. So far, she's terrified of the outdoors. I just put a little sort of weight in front of the door so it can't open far enough. I don't have a balcony door latch on the outside. So I just have to drag something in front of the door so it can't open enough for her to get out. Got to read on the veranda today. Good on ya, Osa. That is always nice. Chadia is here. Hi, Chadia. Good to see you. Rogue, what's the crack? Pretty rich friend went to a pub and ordered a personalized drink. The barmaid started to cry. Came back with the owner. Told my friend they try not to poison their clients. Yeah, the bar my dad and I were in was actually this makes my family and my childhood sound nothing like it actually was. We were in the yacht club bar. My dad was actually the commodore of the yacht club. Strangely enough, even though he was the commodore, he was the least wealthy person in the entire club. He just happened to own a 33-foot yacht. Man, I don't yachts, it makes it sound fancier than it was. It was just a sailing boat. Which is obviously, I mean, he wasn't poor, but he got to be the commodore just because he was an extremely likable dude. And he was a good political choice. The people who didn't like each other liked him, so they voted him in as commodore. So we were in the yacht club bar, which he was commodore of. So of course the bartender knew what his drink was and was happy to serve it to him. Yeah, the long summer evenings and the slow sunsets. It's really interesting to me. It throws me every year. Like every winter, I suddenly find myself thinking it's dark at 5, and I find it very depressing and unpleasant. And then in the summer, I look outside and I'm like, oh, it must be about 4 in the afternoon. And I'm like, oh, it's 9. Oops. Yeah. Colton, Fallout 4. I rolled credits today. For those of you who know the story, I no spoilers, but I sided. I mean, spoilers, but you wouldn't understand it if you haven't played the game anyway. I sided with the Railroad and blew up the Brotherhood and the Institute. And rolled credits on it today. But I also feel like I've seen like 25% of the game. There's so much in there. It's amazing. Hello, Aaron. Yes, yacht. I have a number of German friends who pronounce it yacht because then it sounds like a German word. But yeah, yacht. I don't know what the technical definition of a yacht is. Someone could look it up. It to me, it always sounds like something really fancy. And my dad's boat was a sailing boat, and it was big enough to cross to the Bahamas, which he did every year. And it was big enough for 3 or maybe 4 people to sleep on. It had a cabin, but it wasn't like super fancy or anything. But the rum and tonic, because my dad is a nostalgic drink for me. He and I used to, once I discovered it, we used to drink it on the balcony or the deck behind his house at sunset, and it reminds me of him, which is nice because he was a pretty cool dude, and I didn't get to see him as much as I would have liked. My parents were divorced pretty much all my life. Already dark at 3 p.m. Oh yeah, in winter. Yeah, same here. It's crazy. Brian, I'm considering doing the same thing, or I'm considering going full on evil and like siding with the Brotherhood or the Institute and wiping out everybody else. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, you said that last time, Rogue, and I was surprised. I found for a video game, I found that the story of Fallout 4 was actually pretty good. I haven't played New Vegas, so I can't compare. Um, but yeah, I actually quite like the story. I mean, I guess what you think the story is depends a little bit on the choices you make because there are lots of different endings. And depending on who you side with, you can go in very, very different directions. Ida helping out with the dictionary, the OED. Um, Medium-sized sailboat equipped for cruising or racing. Yeah, I guess defined that way, it was a yacht because he used to race it sometimes and do cruising. And it was, I guess, 11 meters, 33 foot is medium size. It's not small. Um, I learned I learned sailing on, well, I learned with my dad on his boat, but I also did a course on a lake in Canberra in Australia. And we learned on little tiny boats, like 3, 4 meter little sailboats, which are good for learning the theory. And they teach you really fast because if you fuck up, you capsize and you're swimming, which I did quite a few times, but mostly because it was fun. Like I like swimming. So um, it was fun in the summer to capsize a boat and swim after sailing for a bit. Good evening, Cart. Yacht comes from the Dutch yacht, which I assume is how it's pronounced in Dutch. Um, yeah. Yeah, I guess it was a yacht. It just always sounded like it was really weird. Like I said, I lived with my mother growing up. My mother was a single mother. She had a good job. So we weren't starving, but we weren't rich or anything. And my dad had his own business, but it wasn't massively successful. So same thing, he had some money to buy a house, and a yacht, but he wasn't like crazy wealthy. Some of the people in his yacht club were crazy wealthy, like nuts. Like they'd invite us to dinner at their house and you'd be like, do you really need 8 bathrooms? And that always seemed really weird to me that this sort of social club that my dad belonged to, my dad who had a pretty normal house and a nothing fancy boat, um, was hanging out with these people. I got to go on the Sequoia once, coincidentally, through the yacht club. The Sequoia is the presidential yacht, which is a hell of a lot bigger and fancier than my dad's boat was, and has its own crew of, I don't know, 15 people and all that sort of stuff, and a chef on board and, all that stuff. And that was actually pretty cool. I mean, I don't really care about fancy boats that much, but being able to say I've been on the presidential yacht, like a week after the president, who was the president at the time, I think it was G-Dub. But yeah, it was anchored at a marina, or docked at a marina in Florida where my dad lived. And he knew the marina owner. So he worked something out that we could go have a look at, which was cool. Colton, I really enjoyed the Amazon show. I thought it pretty much perfectly captured the tone and mood of the whole Fallout IP. I thought it was really well done. I thought the acting and the writing and the story, it was all pretty fun. I thought Goggins was amazing as the ghoul. I thought it was pretty good. Melee knife only. I assume you went and got Pickman's blade, Brian. That seems to be the knife to have. Never tried sailing. Yes, canoeing. Well, canoeing is probably harder work, but it's definitely different, very different work. Um, Sailing is really, really peaceful. Mostly, it's really peaceful up until you feel like you're going to die. My and I were in a couple of storms out on the boat, and those movies like Perfect Storm and White Squall and whatever, where you have these like crazy, super intense storms where it really feels like everyone's in danger of their life. That is exactly what a storm on a sailing boat feels like, whether it's actually that bad or not. We had a couple where we were doing longer trips and we were meant to be taking turns to sleep, and he woke me up in the middle of the night and was like, "We're not sleeping tonight." And I came out on deck, and it was just like horizontal water and waves washing over the front of the bow of the boat. Um, so yeah, that's usually not what it's like. Usually, what it's like is it's very peaceful. It's very, I mean, some people can't deal with the wide open ocean. Like when you get far enough away from land that you can't see it anymore, it's just a straight horizon in every direction and just water. And I actually think that's pretty cool. I like that. It's very peaceful. But um, a lot of people can't deal with that. It gives them existential angst, uh, and it's just too big, which I can understand. It does make you feel small. That I will say for the ocean, but you just have to respect it a lot. Um, yeah, Shad, I was the same way. I never played any Fallout games. And I watched the show, and I'd always been very aware of the IP because it's like it's become part of the mainstream cultural reference. Um, and I picked up the game. I mean, it's on Game Pass, so I didn't really buy it. But I played Fallout 4 because of the show, and the game's really good. It's amazing how much is in it, like just how many little side stories and odd characters and strange things that you can discover just by wandering around. And I mean, Bethesda's known for that. They're also known for like putting in a bunch of NPCs, non-player characters, and they all speak at once. Like there are bits of important quests that I just totally missed the dialogue for it because there were 5 other NPCs standing nearby who just all started blurting out something at the same time. Yes, Ida, it is pretty exciting, but peaceful exciting. I mean, it's like there's like if you're not talking about life threatening storm kind of, oh my god, maybe we're going to die kind of sailing. You basically have 2 kinds of sailing. You have sailing with wind, which is really nice because you're moving, you feel like you're getting somewhere, but it's peaceful. It's very quiet. Generally, you don't have to do that much, especially if you're in the open ocean. Like you're not going to hit anything, so you just sort of point in a direction, and you can pretty much relax and trim the sails every now and then, and steer a little bit every now and then. And then you've got becalmed sailing, where you don't have any wind, and that's actually a lot less fun because you feel like you're going nowhere. You don't have any breeze. Um, you can literally, I mean, like any modern sailing boat has a motor. So if you really have to be moving, you can kick the motor on and get going. But um, yeah, you can literally sit around for days with no wind, and you can't do anything about it. You just have to wait. Um, it really made me think a lot of how brave and adventurous the 16th century sailors were, like going out on a boat, and their boats were not very big, going out on a boat where you have to keep all of your food with you, and you're going in a direction where you know that ahead of you there is nothing, you know, like there's no civilization. Like my dad and I sailing, we were always sailing from somewhere to somewhere where we had a marina and shops and people we knew, to somewhere where we had a marina and shops and people we knew, right? So you just have to get there. Um, but those old school sailors on those old boats, they could sail out in the middle of the ocean and be becalmed for a week. And they don't have a motor, they don't have a radio, they don't have a GPS. All of the things that my dad's boat had, they just sit there and eventually contract scurvy, because if you don't get enough vitamin C, they used to have a barrel, like a wine barrel full of earth, which they would plant a lime tree in so that they could get vitamin C and not come down with scurvy on long ship voyages. Yeah. Yeah, DK. I mean, the thing with the bottom is just like, as long as you can swim, you're not going to the bottom. You know, I never really had a problem with that. I know some people, like my ex-girlfriend, had a massive sort of something in the water kind of fear. She had kind of a water phobia. She didn't like swimming, like in natural water, lakes or oceans. Turns out I'm the Silver Shroud. I was the Silver Shroud for a short while. I enjoyed that quest. I thought that quest was a lot of fun and quite funny. And if you keep the Silver Shroud costume on, like if you keep wearing it, you have numerous opportunities throughout the game to speak as the Silver Shroud in other quests that have nothing to do with it, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Yeah, yeah, I don't know if I'd call that fun exactly, Ida, but there was a feeling of achievement. After we went through this, we were off the east coast of America. It was actually when we picked up my dad's boat. My dad lived in Florida. We drove up to North Carolina. My stepmother drove the car back, and my dad and I sailed his new boat down to Florida. So it was an overnight trip, and we were well off the coast. Not far enough that it would have been like super dangerous. Like I said, we had a radio and everything. If something really horrible had happened, we could have called for rescue and whatever. But in the middle of the night, a storm hit, and it was pretty serious. Like my dad, I was 14, I think, maybe 15. My dad grabbed me down in the cabin and he said, "Okay, look, this is what you do. You never stand anywhere on deck without holding onto something. You don't go here, you don't go there." You know, he sort of made sure that I wasn't going to go overboard, which was a very real possibility. It was like waves and huge washing water over the deck. Sailing with no wind seems like driving with no gas. It's worse, because generally, if you're driving with no gas, you can get out and call someone or something. I mean, it depends on where you are. If you're driving long distance, I guess not, maybe. But yeah, it's driving with no gas on a completely empty highway. Like there's nobody anywhere near you, like not within sight, and you can see to the horizon in every direction. And you just get to sit there for a little while. Hi, Ron. Welcome back. Played most of the game as a Silver Shroud. Yeah. Once you get ballistic fiber, although I'm not sure you can put ballistic fiber on the Shroud's costume. I don't remember. You wanted to play as Grognak. Do you know that you can actually find Grognak's costume and axe? I actually wore those in the game for a little while, but I wasn't so much into melee. I was doing quite a lot of sneaking and sniping this time. Kat asks, what am I reading? I am reading Disquiet Gods still. I've been playing a lot of Fallout, so I've been reading a lot less, but I've been taking an hour or two um, to read every day, but less than I sometimes do. Malazan27, I don't remember you being here before. If this is indeed your first time in the Sunday Pub, welcome. Maybe I know you by another name. Are you on the Fireside Discord? Do I know you from the Fireside Discord? Maybe. Either way, welcome. No, his costume is in there. You're then basically bare chested, and you've got this huge belt and a sort of scrappy loincloth kind of thing, and sandals, I think, and nothing else. But it's a full body costume. It doesn't have very much armor. Yeah, Aaron, it doesn't need to be modded. It's in the vanilla game. You can I forget where I found it though. I remember his axe was at Huber's Comics, but I don't remember where his costume was. Maybe it was also in Huber's Comics. Malazan started Empire of Silence yesterday. Cool. Okay. Yeah, mostly just watching my videos. I'm sorry there haven't been any lately. I haven't quit. I keep doing the pub because it keeps me sane, and I look forward to it every week. And I look forward to seeing all of you shiny regulars who are always here. Like Alicia, hi. But I haven't posted any videos lately. But I will be getting back to it. Empire of Silence rocks. I am on the 6th book, which I've slowed down a fair bit on. I basically binged Sun Eater, all of it. Well, the first 5 books in like 4 weeks. But I've slowed down a bit lately just because I've been video gaming more than I've been reading. And I also wonder, Colton, what the next book I will read will be. I was thinking about that. I'm in one of those sort of vague, indecisive phases, which probably means I will have a phase of just reading short stories, just as sort of a palate cleanser, as they say. We'll see. But yeah, no, I'm just looking at my shelf. I'm not sure, but I am sort of attracted to just reading some short stories for a bit and bouncing around in different short story books I have. Jerome's been watching StarCraft strategy videos. I've been watching Fallout franchise lore videos, because there are so many weird stories in Fallout. And they've been going, some of them have been going and getting sort of more and more developed since the first Fallout, before it was even a Bethesda game. But some of the weird shit going on in Fallout is crazy. I doubt the show will get into a lot of it, because it goes in like 10 different directions: ghosts and aliens and Lovecraftian elder gods, and there's a lot of really weird stuff. Okay, Ida, finish my Malazan reread, finish my Lord of the Rings reread. Yeah, that's true. Elvis is not dead, Thornell, so he doesn't need to return. So calm down with that shit. Yeah, no, I've been. I mean, I've also got my finish the Realm of the Elderlings reread. I've got a lot of series rereadable. Brian, I bought first I got Fallout 4 on Game Pass, and then I was watching some videos and they kept mentioning cool sounding things in DLCs. So I bought the Game of the Year edition, which on Xbox costs like $30, which is all of the DLCs. So Wasteland Workshop, Automaton, Nuka World, Far Harbor, all of it. And I I kind of accidentally went to Far Harbor. I was looking in the top northeast of the normal map for something else. I don't remember what I was looking for, but I found the Japanese people's house. They're looking for their daughter, and that's the thing that sends you to Far Harbor. And I ended up going to Far Harbor, and I was like, "Oh, wait a sec, this is like a totally new map." And I wandered around a little bit, and then I was like, "I'll come back and do this later." So I haven't done most of Far Harbor. And I've heard Nuka World is also kind of cool, but I haven't been there at all yet. So we'll see. We'll get to it. Um, true. Elvis became Fade Ralpha. True. That did happen. So do we wanna splint, perhaps? How do we feel about a splint? Until the hour? Yeah. Um, I'm I actually loved Nick Valentine. I think he was my favorite um companion because I am basic and I hung out with Deacon a lot and got irritated by all of his lack of clarity and lying and whatever, and just like never really knowing what exactly is up with him. But Nick Valentine, I thought was a lot of fun. I enjoyed him. So yes, I want to take him up to. I will definitely when I go to Far Harbor. I want to take Nick. Sounds like fun. Anyway, let's do a sprint until the hour. Enjoy your reading. See you soon. Hello. Yeah, Aaron. I travel with Nick quite a lot. Yeah, Codsworthy was annoying. Good in combat, otherwise annoying to have around. But I also just travel with Dogmeat a lot. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, and it probably sounds strange, I'm talking about playing Fallout 4, which I've been doing a lot lately. Fallout 4 is pretty cool, and you can choose different companions. There are lots, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe more. Um, Companions you can meet and choose to travel with, and they all have their own personalities and stories and stuff. And one of them is Dogmeat, and Dogmeat is just a dog. And he therefore doesn't say stupid things and just helps you out in combat and is a good boy. They've got a lot of cute little things in the game. If you give Dogmeat, like any companion has an inventory, and you can put things in their inventory for them to carry around for you or to use. And if you give Dogmeat a teddy bear, then anytime you're standing around doing nothing or talking to someone, Dogmeat will throw it on the floor and start playing with it, which is really cute. Cat is reading a disturbing book. Orpheus builds a girl. It just by the title, it already sounds disturbing. It seems like disturbing books, like really disturbing books, have gotten really popular lately. I haven't been reading any of them myself, but I keep hearing about like A Little Life, and Jimmy Nuts was talking about what's the other book? I can't remember. Recently, he was talking about another book, which he said was a lot better to read than A Little Life, but also very disturbing. I'm not at all interested in reading books whose main point is that they are disturbing. I've read disturbing books, like there's a lot of disturbing stuff in Malazan, and there's like in darker fantasy books, there are some disturbing bits and pieces, but My Dark Vanessa, yes, Chadia, thank you. That's what he was talking about. And yeah, like books whose whole point is that they're disturbing. I don't think it would be good for my mind. I don't think it would probably put me in a particularly healthy place. In my own personal mind. Yeah, but that's what I mean, Brian. Like Sun Eater isn't about the fact that it's disturbing, whereas I think My Dark Vanessa and Little Life and books like it are about the fact that they're disturbing. Like the whole point of the story is trauma and disturbing things. Whereas Sun Eater is much more of a space opera that has disturbing elements. So, yeah. Just a minute ago, Jerome said he started Clockwork Orange. Cool. I've never read it. I think the movie is pretty amazing. I guess it's pretty dated by now, but Ida's reading was not at all disturbing. Everybody's had a nap, and Gandalf's alive. Excellent. Spoilers, by the way. Gandalf didn't actually die in Moria. Murder Road. That also sounds like it might be disturbing. But I don't actually know. Simone St. James sounds vaguely familiar, but I do not know the book. Orpheus Builds Girls disturbing in a slightly different way than My Dark Vanessa. Yeah, but it sounds like it's also in that sort of. It could be put in the same box. Like a book that is about a disturbing story. Um, Clockwork Orange is also about disturbing, but it also has some pretty big points about um, psychology and groups and how they act together, and some stuff about governments and that kind of thing. Is everything sad going to come untrue? Ah, we love you, Sam Gamgee. Um, yeah, same, Brian. Um, like I listened to Jimmy talking about reading My Dark Vanessa and A Little Life, and I was just like, I'm never going to do that to myself. um, it sounded, at least with A Little Life, it sounded a bit like Jimmy wished he hadn't done it to himself. But yeah, uh, yeah, I also think there's a bit of I don't know, maybe a bit of manipulating the reader, um, just trying to get an emotional kick out of the reader. And yeah, I guess some of them you could sort of describe as torture porn. Not like necessarily actual direct physical torture, necessarily, but emotional torture porn. Ulsa is reading the first story in Tales from Earthsea. I got that nice blue gold debossed everything Earthsea edition, and I read Wizard of Earthsea a long time ago. In fact, I think I read it twice a long time ago, and even a longer time ago. And I'm pretty sure I never read past Wizard of Earthsea, though I do remember loving it. Um, like anybody who thinks Harry Potter invented the wizard student genre should read some Raymond Feist and some Ursula K. Le Guin. And I really enjoyed it. I thought there was some very interesting psychological stuff going on in Wizard of Earthsea, and I've been wanting to get back to it, reread it. It's only small, and progress on Tombs of Atuan and so on and so forth. Uh yeah, Disgrace. I Somebody mentioned Disgrace recently in a video, and I somehow I had a very strong feeling that I read it a long time ago, like when it came out, and didn't like it, but I could be totally wrong. My memory, as I've said many times, is garbage. Butcher of the Forest by Premi Mohammed. Okay, never heard of it. It sounds like maybe you're enjoying it, Ron. Um, yeah, being disturbed for the sake of it is the issue with those books. Um, Prefer when there's other things happening that other than just a doom spiral. Yeah, a doom spiral is exactly what I don't need in my mind. Yeah, like I don't know. Um, yeah, this is interesting. I was just talking with Tori about this. She has a video which I think hasn't quite come out yet, but is about to come out, and that was kind of her reaction to Ship of Magic. She had a hard time with it because so many horrible things happen to many not so great people. And I won't speak for her. That's all true, but I loved Live Ships anyway. It's one of my favorite trilogies at all, and definitely my favorite in the realm of the Edelings, barring the last trilogy, which I haven't read yet. Um, it it didn't it didn't seem like tragedy for the sake of tragedy to me. It didn't seem like just trying to make the reader feel bad, or anything like that. Um, it's I don't know. Yeah, there is a lot of pretty horrible stuff that happens, specifically in the Live Ship trilogy. Um, and there's a lot of not so pleasant things that happen to Fitz and the Fool. Um, but there seems to be more of a, to me anyway, there seems to be more of a message of overcoming tragedy and adapting and changing and evolving and learning through tragedy. Um, if you've read Live Ships, Wintrow's arc, I think, is one of the most amazing character arcs in fantasy. Um, I'm not going to get into details and spoil anything particularly, but like Wintrow suffers a lot and comes through it. He comes through it very changed, but he comes through it. And I thought that was pretty amazing arc. Yes, Brian. You kept trolling me to read Sun Eater, and now I'm past you in the Sun Eater series. I've had it on my TBR for ages. I remember Mike talking about it like 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, maybe. My light just went out. I've had it on my TBR for ages, and I just needed to start it, and it's really good. Ishiguro. I actually have a Ishiguro on my desk. Tori, my good friend Tori, sent me this recently, for which I am very grateful. I do not know when I will start it. Maybe that's a good, because it's not too thick. Maybe that's a good book after I finish what there is of Sun Eater. I've heard good things about Ishiguro, and he's won, I don't know, Booker Prizes, Nobel Prizes and shit. So he can't be bad. That's good to know also. Because I thought Wizard University was great. So if 2, 3, and 4 are even better, then woo. A lot of it, I guess we're talking about Hobb here, is purposefully written to make the reader upset, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. I personally don't want to read more Fitz, but I'd say Live Ships is better. I'd say Live Ships has more suffering in it. Honestly, like some of the suffering in Live Ships is pretty extreme and visceral. But like I said, to me, it felt like a dealing and growing and learning through tragedies kind of story. Popping in to say hi. Hi, Kay. I don't know if I've seen you in the pub before. Nice. The cover of Little Life. I hate the cover of Little Life. Picture of a guy who looks like he's miserable, but in fact, that picture came from an art project of pictures of men having orgasms. Awesome. That actually doesn't surprise me, because I've looked at that photo, and I used to work as a photographer. I've been shooting regularly for, I don't know, 30 years. I looked at that photo and I was like, that photo isn't what you think at first glance. I didn't know it was a man having an orgasm, but I just looked at it and I was like, that is an expression that isn't just somebody in pain or something. Who are my top 3 Live Ship characters? To be honest, I find most of the characters in Live Ships pretty unlikable. I don't know if I really liked Wintrow, but I sympathized a lot with him, and I did enjoy his arc. I thought Kenneth, I wouldn't like him as a person. I mean, like, he's horrible, but I think he is one of the best written villains in fantasy, if not just one of the best written villains. Full stop. Yeah, Kenneth and Paragon, of course, and Amber, but Amber's kind of a minor-ish character in a way. But yeah, Paragon's an amazing study of trauma. Um, yeah, totally amazing characters in that book. Yeah, Live Ships explored so many facets of humanity, even though some of the humanity in the book are animated magical ships that are not humans, but um, better because you have less of a focus on a single character, faults and flaws. Better arc with more growth and happiness. Yeah, the growth and happiness in Live Ships takes a while, but yeah, no, you're right. I love Fitz and the Fool. The two of them together doing shit. I could eat that up all day, no problem. But I do like the multi POV, the larger cast of characters, the bunches of different things happening all over the place. I like that in Live Ships a lot. Um yeah. Yeah, you connect to her characters, or I did. Um and then the tragedy is worse. Yeah. I love hate Robin Hobb for exactly that. Um Yeah, Prince of Nothing has been on my list for ages, but I kind of said to myself, if I'm still rereading Malazan, I'm not going to start something like Backer or Baker. I don't know if anyone agrees on how to say his name. I also want to go back and read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. I bought some used copies of those um, last year. They're on my shelf, and I really, really want to read those soon. Get back into some serious old school fantasy. Darko, hey, good to see you. Wintro, fave character. Yeah. Yeah, Wintro is top. Um at the beginning I didn't have a whole lot of sympathy for him. I thought he's just a little nerdy loser. Um but I just love his arc. I love his arc. I don't love what he goes through, but I love how he grows because of it. Um Never Let Me Go is so good. Yeah, I keep hearing things about him. I had an artificial intelligence buying spree a year and a half ago, where I bought a lot of nonfiction books about artificial intelligence, and then I wanted to get some fiction, nonfiction, some fiction about AI. And I got Ishiguro's Clara and the Sun, I think it's called, which I haven't read yet. Do I ever check my Twitter? Not often. No, I am not on Twitter much. Um, I have phases. I'll have phases where I'm on my Twitter quite a lot, and then phases where I just like ignore Twitter completely for a month. So I can have a look later if you sent me something, but I haven't seen it. Paragon's awesome. See, I'm the other way around, DK. Early Wintro annoyed me because he just seems so whiny. Um, but I liked him. I liked him more once he grew up. Brashen is pretty normal and likable. I mean, he's pretty likable. I don't know if he's pretty normal. I mean, he's a drug addict, um, and he's got some serious family problems. But yeah, he. Everybody, we've been talking too much about live ships, and maybe have had some controversial opinions. Derry's been summoned, but it looks like she's having some connection problems. I just see a little white box. If you're there, Derry, there she is. Derry, welcome.
How are ya?
Coincidence.
Hey, don't forget about me.
Oops. The sprint gunner on. Hi guys, how you doing?
Pretty good. Doing all right. It's been a busy
We
week, though.
we made the mistake of talking too much about live ships, and bang, Derry's here.
Like, seriously, I turned on my computer because I'm like, oh, daylight savings means I always miss the beginning of this. Get out of bed, turn on my computer. And it's literally the first sentence I hear when the sound comes on. It's talking about Hobble. Okay, hook everything up. I have to comment.
Welcome.
So good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Yeah, we were just going on about difficult books full of trauma. And I mean, we were talking about more contemporary fiction, which seems to be almost like tragedy porn kind of stuff. Seems to be very popular right now.
It does. And it's funny you say it because I had Tori in my comments literally this week saying...
She and I were talking about exactly this yesterday.
Yeah, and Pete had said to her, if you don't message Derry, I'm going to. So I had a message in my Discord saying, I'm struggling. And I was like, yeah. Live ships is pretty in your face.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How have you been, Matt?
I've been all right. I've been slow as far as reading goes because I've been playing Fallout 4 a lot. And
did you join with the did you join with the oh dang, I can't think of who they are. The Constitution people?
The Minutemen?
The Minutemen, yes.
I did not join the Minutemen. I joined the Railroad.
It's a good close second.
Blew up the Brotherhood and the Institute. Yeah. It was fun. But yeah, no, Tori and I text a lot, and we were texting quite a long time last night, actually, about all of the trauma in Mad Ship. Ship of Magic, and how hard it was for her to really love it, even though she knows that Hobb is just like an amazing writer, no question.
Yeah, this is the thing, is that I think, and I was talking to somebody else in Discord as well, is even though we're there, we're in it, we're with these people, we aren't necessarily getting what's happening. We're getting how they feel about it. We're getting their emotional reactions to things, which is, it's a different reading experience than often we get, where it's about what's happening to who by whom. So it makes that trauma reading both more visceral and easier to deal with, because you get their coping mechanisms and you get their healing or not, as the case may be, as more of a thing, rather than, oh no, there's this horrible tragic thing that happened, and then once it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the strongest things for me. When she gets into the trauma, she doesn't just let it go. It's like, no, this affects people. So
yeah. No, it's very it's maybe also more overwhelming in a way, because it's so many characters and everybody has got some pretty crazy unpleasant shit happening. Like, I think in the Fitz books, it's just like mostly Fitz. You know, we're very focused on Fitz, and Fitz is causing himself a lot of problems and suffering through it.
Yeah.
But everybody else, like especially poor Wintrow's story, like
it's really
most stuff with Wintrow gets done to him, you know?
Yeah. Wintrow's story breaks my heart. His faith is what's lovely about that story, though, because he never really loses that faith. And I just love that. I think that's beautiful. But it's
I was just talking about his arc, and I love his arc because he overcomes.
Yes.
You know, like by the end, he's a man and he isn't taking shit from people anymore.
No, and he's very much in control of his destiny. He's made his choices.
Yeah.
But he's also retained that faith, that he still believes he's here for a purpose, and he lives it. And I admire that in the character. I think it's remarkable.
Yeah.
I just want to say that we had Darko saying he votes Kyle, and Shadia saying Kenneth for the worst baddie. And I hate Kyle. I hate him with a passion, because he's the Umbridge to Kenneth's Voldemort. You know,
That's the
everybody's
thing.
dealt with Kyle.
Kenneth is horrible, and objectively,
Yeah.
he's probably in a way even worse than Kyle. But
Much worse. He's an evil person.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's not even evil. He's super insecure, but
he's so much.
And he's gaslighting everyone around him. But as a reader, he's very entertaining to read.
Oh God, yeah.
Right? You know, he's charming and he's sneaky, and you know, he's very entertaining to read. Kyle's just a dick. He's just like the biggest dick ever. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I literally just commented that, you know, he's trying to do what he thinks is right for his family, but somehow that includes cruelty. And he knows it's not appropriate because he didn't act that way while Ephron was still alive, which means he knows it's not okay because he kept it hidden while there was somebody who was superior
outranked
to him,
so to speak.
You know, exactly. And that's what bothers me. But Kyle, I just want to throw him into this.
What do we think of Malta? I spent like when Malta first gets introduced, I think it's like the first 1.5 books.
Oh, you just want to hit her.
All I wanted to do is slap the hell out of her. I just wanted to shake her until her teeth rattled and slap the hell out of her.
And still do. When I read, I know where she's going, and I still want to shake her.
You know, it's kind of like Tywin Lannister for me. You know, it's I think he's an interesting character, but I genuinely hate him as a human being.
But the difference is Malta develops. Tywin never changes.
But Tywin does remind me of Kenneth a little in that his motives are very selfish. They're very manipulative and nasty, and he's quite a cruel person.
And he constantly gaslights everyone around him.
His greater impact is generally positive. Like what he achieves for other people tends to be a good thing. It tends to be an improvement to their situation. So big populations are like, great bloke, did wonderful things, which is what we get with Kenneth. And yet on an individual basis, this person, it needs to be scraped off the bottom of my shoes.
Yeah.
It makes for a really interesting character. But I don't hate Kenneth the same as I hate Kyle because he's just horrible. So he did such awful things to Wintro.
This comment is by Andre, who is a real life friend of mine, who just apparently came by to give me a like. I don't know if he's staying, but if you are, hi Andre. Haven't talked in a while. Malta at the beginning, like most annoying, manipulative, spoiled child imaginable. By the end, sometimes annoying, but basically a strong woman that I thought was super cool. Like I love her by the end. But early on, it was hard reading the Malta.
It's been a really interesting thing actually, because there's a comment made in one of the later books that you will get to, because I know you haven't read Fitz in the Fall, and it's not a spoiler, but there's a comment made by one of the skill people where they've been studying the skill pillars, and they say it's seemingly safer for the people who use these pillars if they've got a very strong sense of self in being able to retain themselves. And it reminded me immediately of Malta when Tintaglia tries to drown her in memories. Malta hangs on to who she is, and she says, no, I'm Malta. And so, yes, she comes out of that very changed. She comes out very much more matured, but she never loses that core of self. And I really love that that's one of those gentle threads that Hobbes woven all the way through, that you can see it. And you're like, actually, the people who have done better with all of these skill things are the ones who on some level are quite arrogant or have that real sense of I'm a little bit better than everybody else.
Whereas Fitz, who's constantly unsure of himself and questions himself and whatever, he loses himself in the skill almost completely many times. Yeah, exactly.
And I love it's such clever writing.
Dan.
But George does it as well with A Song of Ice and Fire, where he's very consistent with all of those themes.
Totally.
And I'm going to assume Erickson does with Malazan because everybody is so positive about how that's worship. So
the characters in Malazan, I mean, the thing that constantly blows me away with Malazan is like Hobb gets you totally hooked on a character by writing like 200 pages of dialogue with that character. There are characters that there's I've used this example. I think I mentioned it in the pub 2 weeks ago. There's one character in one of the late books. It's not a spoiler. Erickson describes this character for the first time. You get his internal sort of thoughts. It's like a page, maybe less. And I was already like thinking, okay, cool, new character that I like. I want to see what this guy does. I'm sympathizing with him, and he gets killed, like almost immediately. But it's like this tiny character sketch, and it's already I'm hooked. You know, like he's really, really good with short bits of character that really turn you on. Brian, I came so close to, this is a Fallout 4 reference, the game I've been playing. Okay. I have there's a particular character who's one of the companions, and he will come up to you constantly and say, there's another settlement that needs our help, and give you a quest where you have to go do something for some settlement. His name's Preston Garvey, and he is the companion that I've come the closest to shooting in the face more than any other.
Oh, man, you didn't take the newspaper reporter?
Oh.
Piper, I didn't do any of Piper's stuff. I was much more focused on Nick Valentine, who is I
do love Nick Valentine,
robotic detective with a cool backstory. And I went much more the Nick Valentine direction. I didn't actually do any wandering around with Preston Garvey because he's just constantly saying that a settlement needs our help and he can go to hell. Kyle. I mean, Kyle is the evilest feeling person in the books, I would agree. But my favorite villain ever in everything is Kenneth. Like Kenneth is just
so nuanced.
And she manages like
you almost feel sorry for him, even
maybe I'm just kind of basic and stupid.
Some of the most evil things.
Maybe I'm just kind of basic and gullible, but she kept managing to make me think, maybe Kenneth's not so bad when you get someone else's POV of him, and then you get his POV, why he did the things that you were just thinking that about, and then you're like, no, kill this guy. Kill this guy immediately. Punch him in the neck. Awful. Yeah, Kenneth's
that
so bad.
Nuance to writing him. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
and it's what's the word I'm looking for? There are so many layers in the perspectives that she uses that is just chef's kiss. It really is just amazing to read.
Ida, here I would argue with you. I do not think Kyle is trying to do what's right for his family. I think Kyle is trying to do what will inflate his reputation.
Yeah.
Right? And everything for him is about how he looks. Mm-hmm. And if his family looks bad, he looks bad. He doesn't care about the family as the family. He cares about the family as how they reflect on him.
As how it reflects him.
Yeah. Mm. And I think that makes him even worse. I don't think he cares about the family at all. I think he married into the family to get what they had.
Sounds Taiwan-y.
Yeah, totally. He's totally
Kyle is not as clever as
No, he's not nearly as clever.
By a long way.
He's a blunt instrument. Kyle is
very
a
much
blunt
so.
instrument. He's actually a bit of an idiot.
Yeah, he really is. And
I felt a little.
I've not read Hobb, but why does Hobb write such idiots?
Because people are. I mean, that's the thing about when you read Hobb is you know these people, you've met these people, you've wanted to shake these people, and you've been like, what is wrong with you?
Wait until you get a bit older, Britton, and you end up working in a large company where the CEO of the company is dumber than you.
Oh yeah, and you've met Kyle.
And it happens in real life all the time. I've worked in companies where I actually quit because I was like, I'm not the smartest guy in the world.
And it's usually middle management that's been promoted who thinks they know how to do everything better.
Yeah.
And
I've worked with a lot of people who are in much more powerful and well-paid positions than I was, because they play politics better than I do, and no other reason. No other reason. Not competence, not intelligence, not anything. Just they played golf with the right guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want to say to Ida here that he's got it wrong. It's not malice. He's not malicious. I'm not saying that Kyle is malicious, but he is very cruel, and he will say and do things with absolutely no feeling for who he's saying it to. The things that he does with Wintro are just, they're cruel. You can't call that anything other than cruel. He's cruel to his child, and doubles down on it on the rare occasion anyone calls him out. And that's just so wrong. It's so wrong.
Yeah. Should have given Kyle a redemption arc. No, I mean, I think
he had his chance in the dungeons on Key Island, and he didn't
totally
take it.
Had his
and I
chance.
do say that like that's his fault, because I do believe Hob writes her characters as
so
they're going to do their thing, and I'm just going to write what they tell me they're going to do.
So it's like that guy from South Park who's like, "You blew it. You had it all, and you blew it."
He did a whole bunch of stuff, bad stuff, and he lost. And then the people he lost to basically went to him and said,
well, you know,
we'll give you another chance. You can come out of this. You can't go back to what you were, but you can come out of this, but you have to give up being such
just admit that was just not great.
Bitter, angry asshole. And he said, go to hell.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
No, you did me wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So,
not a nice person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ida, you've got some real.
You've got some hot takes this morning.
Some real interesting villain hot takes, don't you?
Although I am going to agree to some degree with this. Tywin is a genius, and I think if he hadn't been such a genius and needed to rely more on his children, they would have been part of his plans as opposed to benefiting from them. And then when he died, they would have known what the hell to do, because when he died, they were like, well, I don't know. Dad does it.
Tywin definitely is a genius, no question.
Yeah.
But he's also a megalomaniac. You know,
he's all about the I'm the best one. And
it's only about him, and he looks down on everyone else in the entire world, which was his downfall in the end. I thought his end was so fitting.
Oh, I have a question.
He's
you've read the Song of Ice and Fire, haven't you? You've written? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
few times.
Was Oberyn poisoning Tywin? Because I think he was.
I wouldn't, because I wouldn't be shocked. I didn't think about it till a while later, but I wouldn't be shocked because that dude can hold a grudge.
Well,
and he's also very skilled with poisons.
Of Tywin not feeling well and the smell coming from him after he died. I'm like,
yeah.
Oberyn was killing him. He was succeeding.
I mean, I don't know if this is a hot take, but my take is I think that Tywin's the biggest monster of the series, and I mean you could say
he's certainly among them. Definitely.
You could say what about like Ramsay Bolton and Mountain? Here's the difference. They know what they are. They make no compunction about what they are. Yep. Tywin pretends to be
a good guy.
He pretends to be this pragmatist, but he's rotten and evil and to the core, and that's what makes him
also if you add up
Bolton that led to the Red Wedding, it's his deal with Bolton that led to what happened to Theon. He's at the heart of so many of the darkest moments.
That's the thing. If you add up everything, if you add up the impact that they all have, Tywin impacted much more people in a horrible way than either of those. I mean, the other two guys are just psychos.
They're literally they're going to damage the people in their vicinity, but they don't have these nationwide fingers and pies that Tywin does.
The Mountain just likes killing people one on one. He doesn't have much more power than that. He hits people with a sword.
Ramsay just likes torturing people.
And Ramsay just likes torturing people, and he picks one person and tortures them for a while, which is horrible. Of course, they're psychopaths, but they
just
they
go
didn't
back to
hurt
what I
that
was saying
many
about
people. But Tywin destroyed many lives.
the Mountain, George has created a character that if you actually look at his character, he behaves like there's a congenital defect in some people who do become outsized, where there's pressure on their brains to some degree, where they genuinely get such pain from sound that they do lash out and go, a bit crazy. And we get a lot of references to the Mountain not liking noisy people, and he cuts the tongues out of people, and you're like, okay, this is the man who we get told lives on milk of the poppy, and so he's in a lot of pain. So he's not only just a mentally broken person, he's also physically broken, and it's feeding into itself.
I had someone like that in my family.
A tertiary character.
My stepmother's brother. I don't know what his condition was called, but he was huge. He was a really big guy, and his family called him Dinky. So
of course,
Dinky was huge. He was like, he had the mind of a, I don't know, maybe 5-year-old. And he would freak out every now and then and get violent.
Yeah.
And that was pretty hard to deal with because he was bigger than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it could be, I mean, I think the Mountain was mentally a little clearer than he was, but it sounds like it could be something interesting. Darko, I cannot even imagine you fell asleep while playing Fallout. I don't know. I mean, it depends which Fallout. I think they are varying levels of excitement. I can't imagine falling asleep while playing Fallout 4, but 1 and 2, since they were isometric games, maybe a bit slower. Yeah.
Oh, 3.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the character sketch thing that Erickson does. There's a character called Coltane,
who I have heard of.
Yeah.
And apparently only gets 10 lines in a 10-book series.
That's maybe a little exaggerated. He gets more than 10 lines probably, but he's in.
That's impressive.
He's in like 3 or 4 scenes briefly, and he has such a presence. He's only in 1 book.
Wow.
And he has such a presence that he is a lot of people's favorite character, or he would be in the top 10 of your favorite characters in the whole series.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's where I've heard of him. It's people going, "That's my favorite character."
Yeah.
Because even though I've tried really hard, and I think I've done quite well, avoiding spoilers for Malazan, I mean, people are really good about them because it's a massive series and not everyone is going to get around to reading it. But anyway, I do know some of the character names and the ones that people hate and the ones that people love. And to just be told that Coltane's like a blink and you miss him kind of guy, but he's so impactful when you do get him. That's so impressive.
He's the basically the general of a particular part of the military. So his position's extremely relevant, but like he's in a very small number of scenes, and in the scenes he's in, he speaks very little.
Wow.
Whiskey Jack sounds like a pretty badass name, I have to say.
Whiskey Jack. Yeah, Whiskey Jack has a lot more lines and a lot more appearances, and he's much more of a real, fully fleshed out character. Coltane, I think part of the interesting thing about Coltane is also that basically that he's a mystery. There's a lot that you just don't get. You don't know about him, and the way his arc ends is also pretty epic. So yeah, he's huge. Fallout 3. Yeah, I don't know Fallout 3, so I couldn't.
I haven't played that game either. New Vegas, play it. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Carlos Theo Chelseadean name. It is, because he's from Chelsead. So.
Now, I will admit the graphics are a little dated, but it's a masterpiece. I really think so.
Yeah. I've heard that. Yeah.
That's Kyle too.
Yeah, the very different Kyles.
I mentioned in the comments, I like how she has all these like great fantasy names, and then Kyle. Like,
yes,
it's like how the Lannisters have all these like cool names, and then there's Kevin. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What the hell?
But there's also Devon, so you've got Dave, so you've got Devon and Kev, and it's all very,
But I think also Kevin was named Kevin because he was meant to sound like
just an ordinary bloke.
Loser nobody. Yeah.
I think he was just supposed to be beige. Like, he's just ordinary. He's nothing outstanding about him. He's just related to Tywin.
Wait a sec, Ida. Coltane is in one of Esselmont's books? Which book? I thought what we got in Book of the Fallen in House of Chains. House of Chains? I always get the books mixed up, which one has who in it. I thought that was all the Coltane we get.
Well,
which Esselmont book, Ida? Tell me.
Return of the Crimson Guard.
Okay. Huh. All right. I'm looking forward to that one because the Crimson Guard is also a brief appearance, but big impact, really, really interesting characters. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Darko. He's in Dead House Gates. I'm totally. I could never tell you which characters in which book. I can't keep the name of the book straight. I know who the characters are and what they do.
Yeah, but getting them in the right order and in the right books.
Yeah, it's like which book? Like I'm about to. The next book from my reread is Reaper's Gale, which is the 6th book, I think. 7th. Yeah, 7th book. And I don't. I'm like, I have to really think about it hard. What happens? There's a Kyle in Return of the Crimson Guard. Okay. All right.
There are Kyles everywhere. You have to be careful.
No, I just find it funny in fantasy books when there's like all these weird fantasy names, and then there's just like a normal name, like
Joe,
like a Dave,
Well, I mean,
or Kevin. You're like,
George does it a lot, so he just changes the spelling. So I mean, you've got Peter, and you've got Lisa, and you've got, Catelyn, and these are all ordinary names. He just spells them that little bit different.
Ned, or oh god, what's another character?
John. Hello.
John. Yeah.
John. The most basic name ever. So.
Yeah, I mean it's not like he was basing it on English history or anything.
Also, John Cunnington, if you're well aware
of traditional as you get.
Dan, House of Chains this week. I'm jealous. That's the 3rd book. Is that right? No, 4th book. I always have to look at my shelf.
You keep checking your shelf.
Yeah, I'm like my shelf is behind the monitor, so I couldn't tell you. Although it's my favorite fantasy series ever, I couldn't tell you in the right order what the 10 books are. I could tell you all the titles, but I'd get the order wrong for sure. Yeah, House of Chains is a big deal, but once you get through House of Chains, you get to Midnight Tides, which is an even bigger deal. So, yeah.
Just keeps getting bigger and better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's towards the end there. Like, if there is a book that I would probably put the 2nd last book or the 3rd last book.
Okay.
So the 10th or the 8th or 9th books. Either one of those would be my least favorite.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. But the 10th book, the last book, is one of my favorites. Would be in my top 3.
That from what I can remember off the top of my head, everybody has really enjoyed that last book.
Cripple God is
it's all come together. It's massive. Perfect. I'm really happy.
There's a thing which is kind of his structure for every book. There's a whole bunch of things happening all over the place at different times, different places, different characters, and they all converge. Convergence is a big thing in his books. Yeah. And they all converge at the end of pretty much every book. Every book is wild, crazy shit going on all over the place, and that converges. And the 10th book is the convergence of all 10 books. Right? So all of the stuff that's been developing in all of them. Yeah, it's awesome. The last book is
cool.
Yeah.
Take a pause. I would take a break between Tawny Man and Rain Wilds because it just works best for the story, and you can absolutely break up the trilogies, at any point, because they don't flow one onto the other. I don't know the deal with Malazan, so.
Thornell, I'd say the Malazan books, I can speak for both perspectives, because I read all 10 Malazan books in about 3 months the first time. Just back to back, because I was unemployed, I was single, I had nothing else to do, and I just read like crazy.
Yep.
And that was an intense experience. I don't think I'd recommend it. I think it's not a bad idea, because they are sometimes quite complex, and there's a lot of characters to keep track of, and there's, especially in some of the books, there's some hard things that you're reading through, and there's a lot of stuff to think about. Like, he brings up a lot of really interesting issues that are worth thinking about. I think it's good to have a little breathing space between. And there's some really good material out there for helping you think about it, and also then reminding you of what you already read. Like,
that sounds like it would be useful.
yeah, totally. There's people on the Reddit. I forget who the guy was, but there's one person, I think, who's done a, strangely, PowerPoint deck for each book.
Wow.
And it goes slide by slide through what happens in the books, which characters and what they did and who won the battle,
so
and
all those
whatever.
Key moments. Bang, bang.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really, really good summary.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And those are really helpful.
Yeah. As for the Hob trilogies, though, read the trilogies back to back and then take a break.
Yeah, I would agree.
Read the trilogies as one big story and then take a break.
Especially because, like, if you read the whole Realm of the Elderlings in order, you've got a trilogy. The next trilogy has almost nothing to do with it. Like, different place, different characters, different,
such a small
totally
amount
different.
of overlap.
There's
the only spoilers are thematic.
Yeah, and there are some Easter eggs and some connections, but it's very tenuous. They're very separate. So it's almost like reading two trilogies by different authors, or in different worlds, or whatever. And they're
just taking place in different parts of that world.
And then it goes back to the characters from the first trilogy, and then it goes to a quartet of books that are also not really that connected to the previous trilogy, and so on.
Even though they are actually all hugely connected, which
they're all connected, but
trilogy.
they feel quite separate. Yeah, totally understandable. Anton, is this your first time in the Sunday pub? I don't remember seeing you before.
Welcome,
or at least not commenting. Short breaks, yeah. No, it's. I mean, I've had a long break. I read up to Reaper's Gale.
That's a few months ago now, wasn't it?
It's been at least 6 months, I think.
Ooh.
And just swerved off to read other things, and I want to get back to Reaper's Gale soon.
Fair enough.
Every time I talk with anyone about Malazan, I'm always like, I kind of miss it. Yeah, because they really are. Like, I have a hard time saying Malazan's better than Realm of the Elderlings, because they are extremely difficult to compare. They have almost nothing in common. But I love Malazan so much, and I love that world so much, and the characters and Ericsson's writing, that every time I start talking about it, I'm like, maybe I'm just gonna.
It's like me when I talk about Baslag or American Gods, even though I'm kind of afraid to read American Gods again, because I'm afraid it might not be as good as when I read it. It was a magical experience.
Don't worry. It's going to be as good on reread, I promise. Okay.
But it was so magical the first time I read it.
I promise, because you will get so many more of the references earlier that you'll then get more of the jokes, and you'll get more of the nods and the winks to who they really are. You will enjoy it just as much, I promise.
I DNF'd it.
But we've had this conversation, Matt.
I'm really confused. I'm really I'm super confused about why I DNF'd it, because I have been a mythology hobbyist fan of Egyptian, Norse, like lots of different mythologies since I was preteen. And
It didn't fit. It just, yeah.
I felt like he was throwing out a lot of references that I should get that I wasn't getting, and like he was making me feel stupid or something. You know,
hey, I hate to say it, Matt, but that sounds like a you problem.
Anytime I DNF a book, it's a me problem. I mean, you know,
just accept that. Okay, Neil knows more than me, and just go. Okay.
Oh, I totally accept.
I actually think that part of it is that when we're really familiar with these stories, when we've had them in our lives since childhood, we've come to form really definitive views on what that character is and what that character represents and what they would and wouldn't do. So when someone like Neil comes along and he puts an entirely different spin on it than what you think, it can be very easy to reject it and go, no, you've got them wrong. That's not how it goes.
I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I didn't know anything about mythology.
Yeah, I think maybe that's
if like I was running into all of these characters for the first time and I didn't have any kind of, I wasn't trying to figure out anything, you know?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
With it.
Ida, you are so full of hot takes tonight. I don't enjoy Silch's Ruin. Silch's Ruin is such an annoying character.
He is here in the chat going, how can I make him angry?
I think she is. I think she is. Silch's Ruin to me was one of the most two-dimensional characters in the whole series. Like we get so little from him compared to most of the other characters. Like all of the characters around him are emotional and they're reacting and doing things because of, you know, and Silch's Ruin was just like all the time. It bored me. I don't know. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to put Ida on the don't take recommendations from list.
That's all right. We just make sure that Ida and Mitch meet so they can get in there and stir the conversation together.
Oh, did Mitch say he loved Silch's Ruin as well?
The man of
or he's always that's true.
He's out there with the big wooden spoon, stirring it up.
Everybody's leaving us for the Formula One.
Where's the race this weekend?
Somewhere else.
You know, I never got the appeal of like car racing.
I never did either. I used to have a tradition with Formula One. I've never been interested in it. Like for me, pretty much all sports are, if I'm not there live, it's boring. Yeah. All sports. And like American football, I've watched live and it's exciting. And I watched it on TV and it's boring as hell. And every sport. But a friend of mine who's really into Formula One, he said, you have to come watch Formula One with me. And I'm like, I'm just not interested. Boring as hell. And he's like, no, trust me. Just try it once.
Yeah.
And then tell me what you think. And he took me down the street to this Italian restaurant. And in the back of the Italian restaurant, they had this really big, it was like their event room that they rented out. But they had a huge television. And we ordered awesome Italian wine and food. And the room was full, but the room was full of Italians who are all like Ferrari fans.
Passionate people.
Yeah. And everyone's screaming and we're eating awesome food and drinking wine. And I was like, dude, you have to tell me every time you're doing this. I will come with you.
I don't really care. Soccer. Well, you guys call it football over there. Like
I was going to say, Britton, when you talk about racing, what comes to mind when you talk about car racing? Because in my experience, when I think of racing in the States, I think of cars on a big oval track, which is the most boring thing freaking ever.
Yeah, I'm thinking of NASCAR. Yeah, that's what I think of.
Okay, Formula One is on really narrow, windy bends roads that are up and down in altitude and actually take a shitload of skill to not die. So
well, okay, I'll have to try that out. But probably not gonna like.
Monaco's a good one because they've got that beautiful hairpin on that.
Calor,
coastal hill, it's gorgeous.
One from the Baker book, or is that someone else?
That's someone else. Thornall is trolling. Calor is like. Calor is like
to get in on the stirring action here.
Calor is the Kyle of Malazan. Only he's
but clearly not as bad as Kyle because this is the first time he's been mentioned.
He's much worse than Kyle. He's so much worse than Kyle because he's immortal.
And he's not real.
So he can spread his evil over centuries and even millennia. Yeah. Wow, it's raining that loud also? Crazy.
Yeah, it was
it's really loud.
The weather out here in Oklahoma can't make up its fucking mind. Like, it was sunny yesterday, and then I go to bed, it's fucking thundering outside. It is thundering outside. I'm like, what the hell? Make up your mind,
crazy.
Oh my god. Should we have another sprint?
I'm actually going to go and have a cup of tea because I literally got out of bed because Tom was mentioned.
We can see that, Darren.
I need a cup of tea and maybe put some clothes on. So I shall return if you're still here after I've had a little bit of my morning routine.
Yeah. Enjoy your tea.
I'm going to read some more
Ubik.
So,
Ubik. I've been wanting to read Ubik for a long time. I've never actually read any Philip K. Dick.
Caught up, buddy.
Yeah.
Pretty
all
good,
right, everybody.
Quick read.
Let's all read for half an hour until past. Enjoy your reading. I'm going to be diving back into Disquiet Gods and we're reading some really weird shit. Enjoy. And mute yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Please. Hello.
Yeah. Let's hear that soothing voice. It's kind of robotic this time, though.
Really?
A little bit. You look tired, Matt.
I am kind of.
Well, I read a chapter of Ubik. It's really balls to the walls now.
Yeah. The stuff I just read in Disquiet Gods got really weird. Really weird.
I like weird. Is that the Christopher Rocchio book?
Yeah. It's the last so far published one.
So damn, you're just going through them.
I read 5 of them and 3 novellas in 4 weeks, and I've slowed down on Disquiet Gods because I've been playing Fallout 4 too much.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've been kind of distracted with stuff recently, though. I am buddy reading Ubik with Darko right now. I hope Darko's still here.
I don't know. Darko, are you still here? Yeah, exactly. No, Thornall, nobody else hears that. Nobody. That's all you. No, definitely not. Never. Not once.
We'll be having a there he is. Hello, Darko. You still reading Ubik? I hope it's. I really like these copies of the Philip K. Dick books. These are like my favorite. I don't know why. I like the design a lot.
Gwyn. Yeah, I read the first one. What's the first one called? Malice, I think. And I was kind of mixed on it. I didn't think it was bad by any means, and everybody says that the whole series, The Faithful and the Fallen.
That reminds me, I need to read Malice
gets a lot better
for my series.
Yeah, I read the first book, and I wasn't like super hooked. I wasn't super duper motivated to continue. I do own the rest of them. And I will continue because I've heard that it gets a lot better. But I know it's very popular. A lot of people really love John Gwyn's work. So
yeah, I need to read it for What's the Big Fuss. I just got really busy, and you know how it is. Which, by the way, I need to get Darko's comic book because he's the only one who. Shit, I need to find it though.
What do you mean, Darko's comic book?
It's the Fade Out. It's the. It was Free Comic Book Day yesterday, though, and I ended up getting some comics I've been meaning to get for a while.
Yeah, I've heard that, Daniel. Welcome, by the way. That Bloodsworn is better than Faithful and Fallen, but yeah, no, I think it was a good first book, like Malice. It was a good first book, but it felt like a first book. I mean, like an author's first book. And I've heard it gets better. So I am interested in reading it. I think maybe also I've kind of gotten to a point where I've had enough of fantasy stuff based on white European history, you know, like based on Viking things, based on Celtic things, based on all of that stuff. It's just a lot of it, you know, and I've read quite a lot of it. And I've read a lot of Norse mythology and Arthur and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I wasn't gripped by it. Yeah.
But anyway, for Free Comic Book Day, going back.
What did you get?
I got Essex County for 20% off. I've been wanting to read this for a long time. I'm a big Jeff Lemire fan.
It wasn't actually Free Comic Book Day.
Well, they were free if they were floppies, but I don't buy floppies. So And I also got 100 Bullets, which is one I'm hoping to read soon. So
I've read 100 Bullets. It's good.
Is it good?
100 Bullets is very good. Yeah.
I've heard the concept, and I really like the concept. So
yeah, I read it a long time ago, but I remember it being good. Yeah, I haven't done much comics lately. I haven't been to my comic shop in quite a while. In fact, I should check if there's anything in my pull box.
Yeah, I'll admit, Free Comic Book Day was the first time I went to my comic shop in a while because I just haven't felt the itch,
Yeah. Yeah, it used to be. I used to live around the corner from the best English comics shop in Berlin. Of course, that's one of the additional challenges of living in Germany, is it's not as easy to get comics in English as it is there. But Black Dog is a really awesome English comic shop.
I like the name.
Yeah, me too. They only sell English comics, so it's an awesome shop. I have subscriptions to some things, although I think at the moment I don't have any. And I used to go in there like once a month because it was around the corner, and now it's on the other side of town because I moved. So, yeah.
And you really screwed yourself over there.
I did. It's a nice area where I live. It's an awesome area where I live, but there are no English comic shops near where I live, so I have to go across town. But that's okay. I have friends.
So I wonder what German comics are like. That's an interesting. Are they like what are those French comics called? Are they like those albums? What they call them?
I don't really know about German, like native German comics that much, but what most German comic shops are filled with is Marvel and DC, just like English comic shops, just they've been translated. And they're in German, which I don't really read Marvel or DC kind of stuff anyway. So, but
I did read Headlopper, which the art style is very Mignola-esque.
Headlopper.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like sword and sorcery.
Yeah, I don't really. I pick up generally, graphic novel sized or special editions or that kind of stuff when I pick up comics at all. Yeah, no, Thornell, I know the BPRD stuff. I want to get through those and Lobster Johnson and all of those related Hellboy related things that are in the Hellboy universe. And I would like to start getting some of the BPRDs because there are so many BPRDs. The problem I have with the Hellboy related stuff is
Mignola doesn't draw them anymore. That irritates me.
Well, Mignola draws some stuff every now and then.
Yeah, covers.
But yeah, but
jerk.
That is exactly part of the problem. Is a lot of the reason I really loved the original Hellboy was Mignola's artwork. And he's licensing out the Hellboy universe, basically, and lots of other people are drawing things, which some of them are also really good, some of them aren't, but yeah. I don't think they actually translate the heroes' names. They do call them Superhelden. Held, Held, is German for hero, and they call them Superhelden.
There were people
superheroes. But,
there were people roasting Frank Miller's Scrooge McDuck illustration he did the other day. I'm like, guys, it's not that bad. It's not his Wolverine illustration, all right? Like, he's drawn worse.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I was on Twitter the other day. Frank Miller is very.
I know Frank Miller, of course.
As I like to call his art style, it's like a roided out Kirby.
We've already been over this. I know you don't like Frank Miller's work, and I do, but
No, that's the thing. I do like some of his work, but there's some of it I don't like. You know, it's a very it's Facebook complicated, Matt.
I mean, what I don't like about Frank Miller's work is when he tried for a while, like Sin City, to be Mignola. And he went all into like, I'm going to do 90% black frames and all of that because he doesn't do it as good as Mignola.
Probably doesn't also have Dave Stewart to really make those colors pop, you know.
And yeah, exactly. And I like Frank Miller's line work, like the covers of Lone Wolf and Cub, for example. Like when he does line drawings, I think they're absolutely amazing. I thought Dark Knight Returns, the art was great. But when he got into Sin City, a lot of it just became this huge area of black where I just don't think he does that nearly as well as
The Hard Goodbye is the best one of that series. And
I thought it was a fun, like, detective-y, noir-y sort of story, an interesting sort of dark world, but I just didn't like the art that much. But no, it's not Wunderfrau and Fledermausmann. It's Wonder Woman and Batman, just as usual. But they do call them Superhelden, and all of the speech bubbles are in German, so I don't read those. And most German comic fans I know actually prefer to read English comics in English, not translated. So I don't know. Copra is a cool comic. I have never heard of Copra. I have never heard of it. A lot of weirdness, maybe Ditko-ish. Okay. Good to know. I will look it up. My cool comics that I really love are all pretty old, except maybe Saga, which is still continuing, although it's continuing very sporadically. East of West was one of the. I got the big hardback editions. East of West is really cool. Yeah, it's very, very cool. I've got all three of those, and I've got the Saga, the original run of Saga in hardbacks. And I've got a subscription to the individual issues, but I never really, after the very long break they had, I never really got back into it that much. I don't know.
Oh, I've caught up with it. I've like fully caught up with it. It's still pretty good, but like after the real big thing that happened that I don't want to spoil, that happened like before they went on their break. Yeah, they're still kind of like they're still building up to something else, but it's still good.
Okay. I've got all the issues since they restarted. I've got the individual issues. There probably got 2 or 3 in my pull box right now that I should go pick up, but I haven't read them. I read the first one or second one after the break and was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't get that much into it, so we'll see. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it for the evening because it's 11:45 here.
That's fair. It's always fun hanging out with you, Matt.
Likewise. Thanks for coming by. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Derry after the fact for dropping by in her bathrobe. Very cute bathrobe, by the way.
Also get some sleep, Matt. You look tired.
Yeah. Thanks for noticing twice that I look tired. I appreciate it.
I wouldn't be a good friend if I did.
Debatable. Have a good week, like Justin said.
Take care, everyone.
Have a good week, everybody, and we will see you, or at least I will see you, next Sunday. Take it easy.